Hello, and welcome to this packed video screencast. In this section, you will be tying all of the previous lessons together along with some new concepts like collision detection to finally have a basic complete game. In this video, we will be learning how to implement collision detection for our worm object. Specifically, we will be covering using the border edge property of the element class to get the size and position of an object on screen, creating methods in the worm object to detect collisions, growing the worm size when we collide with food, and testing our changes. If you don't already have it open, please switch to the Dart editor. Let's open our wormbody.dart file and add some methods to our worm class to help with collision detection. We will start by creating a method called bool intersectsWith element e. This method will return true if the head of the worm intersects with some element that has been passed in, and false otherwise. In order to get this functional, we are going to leverage the element's border edge property, which returns a CSS_rect object. The CSS_rect object contains the height, width, and position of the element as computed by the browser. It also has a very useful method called intersects, which we can pass in another CSS_rect object to see if the two rectangles intersect with each other. This takes all the hard work off our plate, and we can just leverage this. Now that we can ask the worm if it's intersecting with something, we can use this method in our worm to check if the worm has intersected with some food. Each time the worm head intersects food, it essentially eats it and gets longer. In our game timer callback, we will check if the worm intersects any food objects on the screen. If it does, then we will increase the size of the worm by calling the worm.grow method, and we will set that particular food item to be hidden. This will give the appearance that our worm has eaten the food. This food object can then be repositioned and set visible again. Now we can do some tracking work as well and update the scoreboard. We will increase the score by 1 every time the worm eats some food object. We will be using the score later, so it's important to keep track of it. Now it's time to test it out. Let's move the worm around using the keys we mapped in the previous video section and try to eat some of the food. Notice that the worm is growing each time we eat more food. Be careful around the edges though. We still have not implemented any collision detection for going off the board. If you lose your worm, it's no big deal. Just hit the reset key and it'll start the game over. In the next video, we are going to implement the win and lose scenarios by first completing the collision detection with the game border and then setting the high score that the user should be shooting for to win the game. We will also set up the scoreboard in the upper corner.